Richardson.
The Dodgers pitching staff has given the team a ton of momentum heading into tonight's decisive Game 5 against the Padres. The pitching staff has held the Padres scoreless in 15 straight innings. As he did in Game 4, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts is planning to put most of his bullpen to work again. Fans going to the game will see a lot more security personnel inside and outside of Dodger Stadium. First pitch at 5:08. LeBron wasn't happy about the Lakers playing a preseason game in Milwaukee Thursday night. He shook off his discontent and contributed to a Lakers win with 11 points and 3 assists in 16 minutes. His son Bronny missed all 4 of his shots and was scoreless in 6 minutes. The Minnesota Lynx beat the New York Liberty in overtime in Game 1 of the WNBA Finals. The Lynx were down by 15 with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money Talk.
Here's what happens when you advertise on KBLA Talk 1580.
3, possibly 4 weeks ago, I heard an advertisement on your radio station from a company called Grid Solar. I would love to have that phone number so I can reach out to them with reference to solar panels being installed on my property.
Our listeners are aware and engaged, but more than that, they are loyal. When they hear empowering messages that uplift their community and help them live better lives, they respond. No medium reaches this coveted black audience like KBLA Talk 1580. So, hit us up today at smb@kbla1580.com and let us help you connect with our loyal listeners. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Money to bud.
Watch the party die. This shit got too wicked to apologize. It's different, get them whacked and disqualified. We even kill the killers cause they like taking innocent lives. Burn a whole village, we start over. It's really that time. Why reason with these if they can't see the future first? Why argue with these clowns if the circus is well at work? Just walk that man down, that'll do everyone a solid. It's love, but tough love sometimes gotta result in violence. If you parading gluttony without giving truth to the youth, the graveyard is company. Just tell us what casket to choose. They party more than... Tell me, what are you working for? They glorify scamming, you get chipped over this credit card. Influencers talk down cause I'm not with the basics, but they don't hate me, they hate the man that I represent. The type of man that never ride cause I want a favor. The man that resides in patience. So where the soldiers at? The ones that lost it all and learned to learn from that. A thirst for life, head inside a book cause he concerned with that. Information that'll change his life because he yearns for that. Dedication, finding out what's right cause he can earn from that. I feel for the women that deal with the clown and nerd. Can't blame them, today they ain't really got much to work with. How many just harder than a lot of you? We'll trade all of y'all for nip, I can't be proud of you. God give me life, dear God please give me peace. Dear God please keep these lanes away from me. Dear God keep me shining, the do they really think? Pocket watching, you must be the police. God bless these words, dear God bless how I think. Dear God draw the line, they trying to confuse them with me. Dear God please forgive me, you knowing how hard I tried. I think it's time for me to watch the party die. Get them gone, we go watch the party die.
KBLA Talk 1580. Happy Friday. It's Freedmen Friday. On Fridays, we always talk about reparations. Always, always. That's what we do. That's why I call it Freedmen Fridays. Okay? It's because I really feel like I started talking to people, not just random people, but community leaders, and I was surprised how much they did not know about what is being done around reparations. From the task force to the various commissions in different cities to what's happened legislatively. So that's what we're doing, to the history of, and we do it every Friday, and we welcome you into Freedmen. You guys say freedom, and you guys got me saying it, but it's really called Freedmen Fridays, i.e., because that's what we were called right after the Civil War. That's what the Bureau was, and it's a very specific designation. Not taking a side, not saying you can't call yourself whatever the heck you want. I just want us to show up and make progress. Joining me right now, he is an organizer, protector, provider for Black Los Angeles with the Africatown Coalition, Africatown Enterprise, and a recently formed group called Reparations Over Everything. Billy and Godsun, welcome.
Good morning. Thank you once again for having me, Dominique.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. So let's start with the sort of simple. I know we got a lot of action right now because of what happened with the California Black Legislature. And I want to get to all of that, the organizing that's going on, the town hall meetings that you've been putting together and more. But let's go back a little bit and talk about how you got drawn into the reparations struggle or conversation.
Okay. My first effort is very embarrassing. Back in the 90s, I was in Atlanta with brothers from Imam Jamil Alameem's mosque, and we decided we were going to write a letter to then President Bill Clinton. This was, I believe, 97. And that kind of just got my mind really going as to what reparations is.
You wrote him a letter about reparations?
Yes.
So that's why it's embarrassing.
Well, what we asked for is what is embarrassing.
Oh, I gotcha.
We had no clue of what the numbers were and what all, we should be asking for.
So you were more like in the Aloe Black, I need $1.
Right. But my family was close to the Cochran family, so gradually I began to learn more, and then come into, actually in the 90s I met Mr. John Peoples, and then come into the new millennium, I actually got opportunity to start working with him, Molly Bell, and others real closely, and taking in more of what reparations really is. In 2005, I wrote a very short novel about the work we were doing at that time. I called it Reboot, Revolution for Reparations. And then fast forward 2018, when the whole ADOS movement blew up, a few of our members started going to their meetings, and then finally myself and Kevin went, and we were fortunate to meet people like Tiffany Quarles, Lori Jenkins, Friday Jones, Brother Chad, and others, and then gradually met Brother Chris from CJAC, Camilla Moore, just recently met Sister Sharice, Sister Nita, and others, but just really pulled us into the movement. In 2016, we, the Africatown Coalition, put out our Black agenda, and reparations was, I believe, part of our fourth point, which is to build the Black economy. And we know the root of that is in a redistribution of wealth, which we believe is what reparations also entails.
It's funny because when I asked you that question, I started thinking, well, when did reparations come into my consciousness? And I think it's as a kid, because my dad, Amiri Baraka, a.k.a. Leroy Jones, talked about reparations. So for me, it's something I grew up believing was something we were owed.
Got it.
Right? But then on the radio, it comes out with Dick Gregory, because this was something Mr. Gregory would always like to talk about. And so I think it's important to put it in context, because it goes back for you. It goes back a ways. And also, you just shared your journey of getting to understand what it is. And what I believe we've discovered, partly through the controversy with the California Legislative Black Caucus, and for me, partly through this show, is that a lot of folks still do not understand what reparations is.
Right.
I mean, there's a report from the California Task Force, 1,200 pages. Most of us haven't read it. I haven't read 1,200 pages. There's a 60-something page summary. They're all available at the website of the California Attorney General.
Right.
But so now here we are, right? And just quickly, because you mentioned him, say who Mr. Peoples was.
Oh, the great Mr. John Peoples. He is a dynamic elder. He used to make it his life effort to educate the community both on the history of those of us of African descent in relation to the individuals who colonized America, but he also was masterful in how he would present himself. He would build what he called slave ships. On his truck, he would attach these huge trailers, and we would ride around with red, black, and green flags. And he put together these pamphlets of basically what he called the Slave Bible that had a lot of different information.
He had a slave ID, right?
Slave
he
ID.
Made his own driver's license. It was like a slave ID.
For a while, a little over a year, we set up in front of West Angeles Church, and he would give people money to come to church because he said that's what church should be doing.
Is giving people money.
Right.
Yeah, he was a great man. I really appreciated him.
Yes.
And he was one of the, but that was at a time when people considered reparations fringe. I mean, there was no mainstream legislator that took it seriously at that time. Molly Bell, Steve, I'm blanking on Steve's last name right now, who used to hang with Mr. Peoples, Mr. John Peoples. And there was always a core of folks in Los Angeles that were part of it. Dick Gregory, Mr. Gregory used to say it would take 50 years before we'd see progress on reparations.
Right. And we did a lot of organizing through your show, too.
Yeah, Front Page?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That was a different show. Right. For those who are not familiar, that I hosted for almost 17 years. I think we're ahead of schedule, according to Mr. Gregory's projection. He said 50 years. That was maybe 15 years ago.
Okay.
So, I mean, not that we're ready to get checks. I mean, we're ready, but not that the mechanism is in place. But I don't think Mr. Gregory would have foreseen a California State Task Force and a real mainstream conversation and actual legislation this quickly.
Right. And with Mr. Peoples, one last point I'll make, he predicted our generation would achieve or attain reparations because he saw us as being more spiritual. He felt that prior movements lacked the spirituality that he saw in our generation and those coming after us, so he believed that is why we would attain it.
You agree with that?
Oh, yeah. I believe it's very much so within reach.
The Haitian Revolution definitely drew on their spirituality, worked, well, they won, and then they got punished for the next 100+ years. But when we come forward, I want to talk about, and I want to spend time on what's working. I feel like we've talked really a lot about the California Legislative Black Caucus, less about the governor, who just made a move in vetoing an important bill.
Yes.
And so we'll talk a little bit about that, but I want to talk about what is moving. What's moving? And of course, Reggie Romaine is in the chat talking about a protest at USC on yesterday. So we'll take a look at that as well when we come forward. Billy and Godsun is my guest. You're welcome in 800-920-1580. It's a Freedmen Friday on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. Tabitha Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, today.
We're thrilled to announce that the Dear Future Wifey podcast is now available on the Urban One Podcast Network. This show, hosted by Latiris R. Whitfield, explores the journey of discovering and rediscovering love and relationships. With over 500,000 subscribers on YouTube, Dear Future Wifey has become a prototype for discussions about love and relationships. Learn how to rediscover love, heal, and have faith in relationships. Go to urbanonepodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Girl, I have a secret. When I get stressed out, I get sweaty. That's why I use Secret Clinical Antiperspirant. It's like my own secret weapon. For 72 hours, I get Secret's strongest protection against sweat caused by stress, heat, and activity, because you know how crazy life can get. Plus, it's made with advanced odor fighters that don't just cover up smelliness. They help prevent it from happening in the first place. Believe me, if I weren't wearing Secret, I'd be a hot, smelly mess. Thankfully, Secret works.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick. And it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors. Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower Max, use for adults only.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Conversation is taking place on a Freedmen Friday. Billion Godsun is my guest. So fast forward to 2024, where we are right now, after really leading the nation right here in California with Dr. Weber's bill creating a reparations task force, which creates a study. It's at the oig.ca.gov. That stands for Office of the Attorney General. You can read it. There's a LA City task force now being followed suit. There's reparations entities popping up all over the country in cities. A couple of states have jumped on board. We haven't really had any movement on the federal level, but we likely will.
Yes.
And then we hit a bump in the road in California, even though California has seen some productive progress out of this. We've got Proposition 6 on the ballot to end involuntary servitude. That comes out of the Reparations Task Force recommendations. And we had the climate justice work that Assemblymember Bryan did, getting the Inglewood oil field to pay off, just to pay out to the community. I believe the apology of Reggie Jones Sawyer, which a lot of people don't like, because an apology without anything else is not really great, but that did pass and was signed into law. At the last minute, we saw the California Legislative Black Caucus fail to pass two key bills that we expected them to pass, or at least put to a floor for a vote, to create the Freedmen's Agency for the state of California and to create a funding mechanism, two building blocks for reparations. And then the governor vetoed a bill that would have made it easier for people who have had their land stolen through racially motivated eminent domain to get their land back, a la Bruce's Beach. And he used the reasoning that there was no Freedmen's Bureau, which is pretty cynical and kind of slap in the face-ish.
Right.
And it set off a firestorm, right?
Yes, a huge firestorm. Those of us who are from California, even though I, transplanted back in 1980, but I've spent most of my life here. And to see where we are right now, to see as many people as we see still living on the streets, living out their cars, people dying just because they don't have basic resources, it was beyond unacceptable for our black legislators to not carry it all the way through and allow the governor, whoever else, to go against it. But when, people we've supported, people we've voted for, people we've worked with to different extents do this to us at the last minute, had it been something brought up a few weeks before, a couple months before, then we could have had conversation. But at the last minute when, we were really ready to celebrate, and now we're going 180 degrees in the opposite direction. It was just, unacceptable.
Yeah. Well, so we've heard lots of different reasons, and I feel like we don't need to go over that. If you want to hear them, you can go back and listen to Assemblymember Isaac Bryan and Senator Lola Smallwood Cuevas were the only ones that actually showed up on this show. Assemblymember Bryan showed up to the meeting, but those shows are available. You can get them on YouTube. You can get them wherever you get your podcasts. You can go back and listen to all the Freedmen Friday episodes. We've been over this, all the reasons they say it didn't happen. Bottom line is, they failed us. They did not. And to me, when the governor vetoed their restitution bill, land restitution bill, it showed his intention. So to me, that made it even more crazy that they didn't let him vote on these things. Send the bills forward. But the response, let's talk about where we are with that at this moment in terms of strategies, calls to action, because, there's now a coalition that you're part of 5 different organizations, at least 5, right? That are Reparations Over Everything.
Right.
What is that?
So we, Africa Town Coalition, Camilla Moore, CJAC, I forget one of them. Their name is very, not them. Right now, Leap is on hiatus. Forgive me, Sister Nita.
Come back to you.
But also BLMLA and others. But we most of us have been, like I said, go back to 2018, but especially once the task force came into existence, a number of them, repeatedly reached out to us, asked us to show up at different hearings, sign on to different letters, write different letters, email folks, call folks. So, we've been doing this together before August 31st. But
August
since
31st is the day that
right.
was the deadline for that to get a vote, those 2 bills to get a vote on the floor.
Right.
When the legislators chose to go a different way.
Right. And most of us are also the ones who went up to Sacramento on August 31st. Right. So from that day till this morning, we've been communicating. We're learning each other because we come from different backgrounds. We've had different strategies and tactics all of our different groups have used. So, we're filling each other out. But for the most part, we collectively believe that these legislators, including Gavin Newsom, have to be held accountable. We can't turn the cheek. We can't play this down like it was just something small that happened. We know reparations is the key agenda right now to bring black people back, not just here in California, but as we know, as California goes, so goes the nation. So
yeah, I mean, I think that's why I believe it's important for us to also note our victories, right? Mm-hmm. This was a setback, a betrayal. Where do we go from here is important. But I also think it's important to say, hey, we had a task force. They spent 2 years. They did a study. Y'all can use it. That way you don't have to spend 2 years, right? Or maybe you do, but you can start with at least understanding the scope of reparations. We got an apology. We got an important bill, Proposition 6 to end involuntary servitude. It may not be reparations, but it comes out of the recommendation, just as Assemblymember Bryan's bill with the oil fields. They come out of the recommendation. So that is concrete progress. It's not what we want. It's not all of what we want, but it's concrete progress. I've noticed that this talking point that it's a multi-year process, which is what a lot of the legislators have started saying now, really upsets people. But isn't that the truth?
Well, we could say, yes, it's a multi-year process, but how do we approach that? Do we follow through with what we have to do, or do we keep postponing things unnecessarily? Again, with this vote, okay, let Newsom veto it so we spend the next however much time we spend going for him instead of first having to go for the COBC.
Right, and creating all these internal divisions.
Right.
And a lot of the people in your initial meeting and people that have come on the show feel that every single one of those legislators should be targeted and removed. I don't agree with that. I think that there should be consequences. But we have to look at people in their totality. What have they done? Agree, disagree? Their track record.
Well, what we know is, even beyond this whole reparations issue, too many of our officials for too long have gone for the easy victories. When it comes to things like stopping police from killing us, when it comes to things like really addressing the housing issue, which is what's creating housing, which we know are the banks, the developers, that's where we consistently get failed. And we can't keep going the easy route because our population is disappearing as a result. So when are we going to have people actually go in there and fight the hard fights, not just what you think, we can win, or if we think the governor's going to veto us, we going to back up. That's how, that's not progressive. We could talk progressive. We can do all these other things, make it look progressive. But at the end of the day, if we're not doing what's really going to take care of our people, move our people forward, we're playing games.
Yeah, I agree with that. But how do you make sure that, we just have a minute here. We can talk about more on the other side of news, traffic, and sports. How do we make sure that those efforts lead to the passage of, as Judicially Affirmed says the initial process is establishing that Freedmen's Agency and funding it. Yeah. No, the study was the initial phase. Or the 20, 30, 40, 100, 200 years of activism that made the study possible was the initial phase.
Right.
Not to downplay those, but how do we make sure that those efforts actually end up giving us those two bills rather than just decimating the legislature of black electeds, or creating infighting among us, or dividing us further? That's the question Billion will address after news, traffic, and sports on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
I'm Ree Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Hurricane Milton caused as much as $175 billion in damages. That's according to early estimates of a worst-case scenario from Wall Street analysts. That's on top of the devastation that Hurricane Helene has already caused in the area. Many of the storm victims are black and Latino. A judge is calling on lawyers for Sean Diddy Combs to stop it with all of the bail appeals. The judge in the case has directed the court to terminate the defense's request. Former President Donald Trump is planning to hold a major rally at New York City's Madison Square Garden later this month. It's set for October 27th, just 9 days before the election. And that's the latest. I'm Ree Harris on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Every day, a child in poverty waits for a sponsor is another day of hopelessness. There are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers pitching staff has given the team a ton of momentum heading into tonight's decisive Game 5 against the Padres. The pitching staff has held the Padres scoreless in 15 straight innings. As he did in Game 4, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts is planning to put most of his bullpen to work again. Fans going to the game will see a lot more security personnel inside and outside of Dodger Stadium. First pitch at 5:08. LeBron wasn't happy about the Lakers playing a preseason game in Milwaukee Thursday night. He shook off his discontent and contributed to a Lakers win with 11 points and 3 assists in 16 minutes. His son Bronny missed all 4 of his shots and was scoreless in 6 minutes. The Minnesota Lynx beat the New York Liberty in overtime in Game 1 of the WNBA Finals. The Lynx were down by 15 with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has worksource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down. Get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
From the first day of kindergarten through the day they graduate high school, in California, 38% of students attend a public school that fails to meet minimum health standards. That's why we need Prop 2. Voting yes on Prop 2 will fund urgent repairs at local schools, protect kids from toxic mold, asbestos, and lead, ensure clean drinking water, and repair leaky ceilings and storm damage. Yes on Prop 2. To fix what's actually broken. All funds go to local schools without raising taxes. You heard that right. So join the California NAACP, nurses and teachers, and vote yes on 2. Because all our kids deserve a safe place to learn. Ad paid for by Yes on Prop 2, sponsored by Nonprofit Education, Labor and Business Associations. Ad committee's top funders, California Building Industry Association, Coalition for Adequate School Housing, California Teachers Association.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for progressive talk radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back indeed. Reggie's all active in the chat, but y'all, welcome to call 800-920-1580. Billion Godsun, my guest, he says CLBC said they have a lot more work to do when the work is already done. Senator Bradford had 3 major bills, would put us on top for next year bills we are creating. No disagreement from me there. I'm just saying we've talked about that a lot. If you want to review it, have at it. I don't want to get stuck in a loop.
Right.
What I'm asking is what is most effective, and what you think is most effective. I know you had a protest last night. I understand it got quite a bit heated. I don't know if you want to speak on that.
Yeah, so part of what we've been doing is trying to make sure we're present whenever members of the COBC are speaking publicly, so we can fill in the gaps that they leave as far as what actually took place while the bills were not put up for a vote, because we're seeing still they're not, being forthcoming with exactly what all happened. So our thing is to get out, whether it's here in LA, Moreno Valley, yesterday it was at USC, and educate people who don't really know, people who are just getting bits and pieces of it, or really don't know anything about it. And emotions are running high because, like I said, a number of people have been committed to this battle for years, have put a lot into it, and a lot of us, both through our personal experiences, have gone through a lot of the worst this country and state has to offer, but also we know what our ancestors went through to get us to this point. So emotions are running high. We're finding a lot of people, when they find the information, are taking it in and considering what they're going to do with the information moving forward. And then we find other people who are connected to some of these officials or working with them who just don't want to hear or care to hear, our side of what's happening.
But that could partly be because of the tone and tenor. I mean, I understood, the initial reparations meeting, people were yelling, and that's okay, whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, in protests, we do yell. Mm-hmm. But calling people out their names, calling people house N-words and such, what does that accomplish?
Well, again, it's the frustration. People need to know how serious this is, because we see again with a lot of the COBC presentations, whether it be on the radio, articles they're writing, they're really trying to minimize. So that ignites a whole new frustration to what happened. They're not fully owning their role in this, which lets us know, allowing them to move forward in those positions, they're not going to reverse what they're doing. The first part of correcting a mistake is owning it, and that's what they're not doing. And then when we see them repeatedly going in front of the public, continue to push these falsehoods, lets us know they have no intentions of getting back in office and correcting this.
Okay. I'm going to say we'll agree to disagree on, just name calling. Mm-hmm. I feel like we need to criticize the policies more than the people.
Well, it's the people that's making the policies.
Right. So we criticize it. To me, we criticize their role in that as opposed to, calling folks out their name. And one of the reasons I say that not is because I want to coddle the lawmakers, but it's partly because I feel like it undermines the legitimacy of our movement in some ways. Oh, so there were a bunch of people calling people and, house N-words or whatever and, hollering, when in fact there are legitimate points being made and important information that needs to be conveyed. I've had a lot of conversations behind the scenes with folks, like you say, folks that are affiliated with folks. And okay, you can be upset about this, but look, this is a betrayal. Why didn't they pass the bills? Why didn't they at least try? How can you go from supporting bills and making speeches about how great these bills are to saying they're problematic, a month later or 2 months later? Like, I just feel like, I don't know. So tell me what you think is most effective now. I mean, obviously the accountability, showing up where folks are, whether you're yelling or not yelling, that's one piece of it. What else is, how do we make sure those bills come back and get passed? I mean, we're so, close. Let me not cuss on the radio. So close. I feel like that has to happen.
Right. So one thing we know, the COBC put out a statement. They're not looking to bring back SB 1331.
Yeah, that was their initial statement.
Some of them individually have since come out and said they're going to look at doing it. But again, that's a contradiction there. So Our thing is we need people in position who are going to follow this through, like Senator Bradford did. And what we're seeing, like I said, the continued public statements they're putting out are showing us they don't have the political will to do this. So we know very likely
that's a problem.
Some who we are targeting will survive this, may possibly survive this coming election because of the margins.
Well, look, if they don't, you're going to get a Republican who's going to vote against it anyway. To me, the time to target them is in primaries, where you can get another pro-reparations candidate to replace them rather than ending up with a Republican where you lose a vote anyway.
Well, our thing is,
I don't know if that's a win.
If Democrats are going to be in there and just lie to us and not do it, it's the same as a Republican not doing it. So our thing
well,
is,
no, because a Republican says they're not going to do it, and there's no lobbying in the world. But okay, point taken. There is one office right now for a seat on that California Congressional Black Caucus, and that is Bradford's seat, ironically. Has Reparations Over Everything taken a stand on who they're going to choose for that seat?
We've reached out and had conversations with people. I don't believe collectively we've made that decision yet. There have been talks about a voter's guide, but I believe also Reggie Jones Sawyer's seat is up. So, that's another conversation. But at this point, I personally am not running to the Republican side of it, but we see many of our people, not just here in LA or California, across the country, are running to the Republicans.
But see, I'm sorry, I call BS. I call BS on that, and I'll tell you why. A lot of people in the ADOS movement have been on the Republican side all along. I don't know if they're ops or that's just, some are ops, some are just there because they are there. I don't think that's them running. I think that's them seeing this as an opportunity because of the failure of the California Legislative Black Caucus and taking advantage of it.
Well, the Democrats in general, that's the conversation I've been having with a lot of brothers since 2016, why they are going to the Republican side of it. And again, when we look and we see the black populations, what we're going through in LA and other areas, then we have to at some point own the failure of the Democratic Party and the COBC.
But what has the Republican Party done to show? I mean, Trump just tweeted against reparations like last week.
I agree, but for a lot of our people, it's the fact that they have been putting support into the Democrats for all this time, and we keep getting hate crime bills.
Shirley Weber was a Democrat. She passed the legislation for the task force. Steve Bradford is a Democrat. Again, we had the Emmett Till bill, which no one talks about. The Emmett Till hate crimes bill, no one talks about. So, I mean, some of it is the information we're getting. That could be a whole other show for another day. But I mean, so you're articulating this idea that we're moving towards Republicans. I feel like folks are taking advantage of division to forward an agenda they already had. But whatever the case may be, the question. So it sounds like you haven't taken a position between Laura Richardson and Michelle Chambers.
No. There are still conversations people want to have. I personally, several years ago, did some work for Laura Richardson, but again, as a collective, we will look at that, and also, our African Town Coalition will have to.
And actually, you are right. There is Reggie Jones Sawyer's seat, which is Shadale Haware, and she's running against a Latino.
I forgot Ephraim's last name.
I think it's Martinez, but I could be wrong. So I forgot about that seat, even though that's actually on my ballot. So Ephraim Martinez, yeah. Have you taken a position there?
No. We've had some conversations with Sade, but there are a couple concerns there. Ephraim, we've had no conversations with. Some of the other members of Reparations Over Everything have spoken to Ephraim. So again, these are things, hopefully soon we can come to a decision and get a voter's guide out for people.
I've been pushing for a reparations pledge. I'd love to see lawmakers, like we used to do, well, we still do the no cop money, no oil money pledges. I'd like to see a reparations pledge, especially if y'all going to line up behind Republicans. You need to have them.
Not me.
I know you're on the West Abdullah side of town, but if some folks are doing that, I feel like they need to get those GOP members to sign a reparations pledge. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's off the plantation and into the slave ship.
Well, and I'll say this at African Town Coalition, our thing with the pledge is if they'll lie to you on face, they don't have too much issue lying to you on paper.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Continuing our conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Tips to help improve basic steps for building a budget in 2024. Building a budget can help you achieve and reach your financial goals. With a budget, you can keep track of your spending, avoid and get out of debt, limit overspending, pay bills on time, and build solid savings habits. What's the best way to get started? Figure out how much to set aside for expenses, like rent, mortgage, bills, groceries, and entertainment. Understanding your past financial habits can help you make the proper adjustments for your budget. Adjusting to a budget can take time as you work to find the right balance, but keep working on it. For more financial health tips, visit chase.com or stop by a local branch. This segment is sponsored by J.P. Morgan Chase & Company.
Chevy All the Things 2024 Truck Season Radio 30, code GWMR 0294000.
This truck season, think about all the things you can do in a Chevy truck. You'll be able to, or you can even just, with impressive towing, incredible bed and tailgate functionality, and multiple powertrains, Chevy trucks have what you need to get things done. When you want to do it all, Chevy's got you. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on autopsy, then click on request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
Chat room is percolating and the brains are buzzing on this Freedmen Friday. Billion Godsun is with us. Africa Town Coalition is his organization, along with being a member of the coalition Reparations Over Everything. You can find him on social media. It's Africa Town Coalition, right, Billion?
Yes, it is.
And you can find us at KBLA 1580. I am at DiPrima Radio, DiPrima. We're going to Zeno from LA. Hi, Zeno.
Hey, how's it going, Dominique?
Good.
Good morning. What's up, Billion? How you doing, brother Black Flower?
Hey, every hour. Good morning.
Man, so just two things I wanted to touch on. First thing is, with regard to, verbal expression, there's no linear way to voice frustration. So we're, especially nowadays with regards to all these different talks that we're having, a lot of people are going to be expressive. So we just have to be mindful of where people are coming from with regards to their concerns. You know what I mean? I don't think it's necessarily the biggest issue when, certain expressions are thrown around and whatnot.
Got it.
I think it's the actual concern behind the expression.
I'm only rushing you because we only have 7 more minutes. Go ahead.
No worries.
Point
all
2.
Right, the last thing is
it's not to disrespect your point.
No
Right.
worries. It's all good. That was just one little small thing. The last thing is this. When it comes to nowadays, for the people, we're in a fertile space for independent thinking. So people are going to have to exercise new ways of thinking in terms of how to validate, candidates and politicians and everything. Their rhetoric in regards to the people's concern. Because too long we've been extremely dependent. Once there's like one point we can hang on, that's kind of like the defining factor, and we need a little bit more. We need things that are a little bit more practical and more tangible.
Yes, I completely agree. Too often we see where a thing is done, but then the focus more so goes on the reaction to, the thing that was done. And again, what we're finding when we get out at these different town halls and events, people who get the information as to what really happened, they feel very much the same. Quite often the first phrase out of people's mouths, has cussing in it and frustration. So,
right.
But yeah.
Understood.
And let me just say this also. There's been no threats of violence against Senator Lola,
Smallwood
Cuevas, and Assembly Member Lori Wilson. From Reparations Over Everything. We have
right. The governor made a comment on threats to the CLBC, and I've talked to every organization that I've talked to has condemned that and distanced themselves from it. Zeno, thank you for the call.
Sure.
I love fertile space for independent thought. I love that he said that. Molly Bell, City of Compton.
Reparations in memory of our ancestors. God bless morning to you, Dominique, to you, Billion, Godsun. I just wanted to call, and I know we don't have time. I was going to say some other things, but I'll leave that alone. I think we also got to remember Megaphone, Billion, because that was another person that was out there. We've got to, when it comes to reparation is repair. What is repair? Whatever it takes to make us whole. The one thing about when we start organizing and then money gets in it and then egos gets in it and everybody wants the credit, you don't get credit for reparation. You have to do this out of love. You don't have to write up long, lengthy, big words and stuff like that. You just need to say, they kept us in slavery. Now we need to be repaired for that. So we've got to work on repair. We've got to talk in love. We've got Billion. I appreciate the way you and your family were involved in this. This is real for you, but for some people, it is just a position. It is just a job. So I'm closing because I know we're out of time, and Dominique got to give you your closing remarks. I'm just saying that reparation is repair. Repair is whatever it takes to make us whole. Let's give people some marching orders. Family, go look in your family's Bibles at home, Big Mamas. Get all the paperwork, because we will get reparation, and I'm 77 in my lifetime.
Yes.
Prayer warriors, keep fasting, keep praying, because the struggle continues, and always to God be the glory. Love you, Dominique.
Love you more, Molly Bell.
Thank you. And I will say, General Elder Queen Molly Bell, you know, you've been in this for a long time. I appreciate everything you've done for us, for me personally. And as we always say, it's in memory of our ancestors and all they went through, all they were not in position to do. So that's why we carry this fight forward.
Yeah, I think that's right. Man, time flies when you're talking on the radio. Billion Godsun, we only have like a minute and a half, and I'm handing it to you.
Thank you. So I do want everyone to know tomorrow there will be an opportunity to come out and hear people who were very much involved in, getting the reparations task force going, getting these bills going, and can tell you from their own personal experience, not what they heard or saw, but what they actually experienced. And it's going to be the Reparations Now Town Hall meeting. That's tomorrow, October 12th, from 11 a.m. to 1. Senator Steve Bradford will also be a part of this, but it's at 555 West Redondo Beach Boulevard, Suite 185 in Gardena, California. So that's tomorrow. And the other group I failed to mention earlier is the National Volunteer Council on Freedmen Affairs, Sister Nita and those good people. But on social media, you can follow CJEC. On social media, I believe is on Instagram, I believe it's CJEC Official. Their website, cjecofficial.org. Camilla Moore, she's on social media. She also has a website. And then BLMLA, us Africatown Coalition, and some of the others we've mentioned. But more so than anything, we really encourage people to come out and get involved. We also have a forum plan after the Taste of Soul at the Center for Black Power that will happen immediately at the end of the Taste of Soul. So if you come out to that, please just walk a few blocks down to 43rd Place in Crenshaw.
Do you know what time that starts? Because Taste of Soul kind of has a nebulous ending.
I believe we're looking between 6 and 7.
Gotcha.
So just to be safe, come on for 6. Doors will probably open at least by 6:30. But yeah, get involved, because right now there is a lot of information, some of which I do believe is intentional misinformation. If we put out anything on our part that is false, it is a mistake. Bring it to our attention. We are not trying to manipulate and mislead our people. We are fighting for liberation, and we know truth is the basis on which we have to move for that.
Absolutely. Fred Peeps is asking in the chat, are you going to be streaming tomorrow's conversation?
I cannot say for sure, but we have attempted to make sure all of the town halls we've been involved with are streamed. So I will inquire about that, and very likely we will put out on our social media platforms whether or not that'll be the case.
All right. And definitely one more time, it's 555 West Redondo, Suite 185. Is that right?
Yes,
in
that's
Gardena, California. And it's tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Yes.
Billion Godsun, thank you for the conversation, and thanks for all that you do and all the
you.
low-key support that you've given for Freedmen Fridays that people don't know about.
Got to.
That
Reparations is what it's about right now. Reparations over everything.
KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Ree Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. Hurricane Milton caused as much as $175 billion in damages. That's according to early estimates of a worst-case scenario from Wall Street analysts. That's on top of the devastation that Hurricane Helene has already caused in the area. Many of the storm victims are Black and Latino. A judge is calling on lawyers for Sean Diddy Combs to stop it with all of the bail appeals. The judge in the case has directed the court to terminate the defense's request. Former President Donald Trump is planning to hold a major rally at New York City's Madison Square Garden later this month. It's set for October 27th, just 9 days before the election. And that's the latest. I'm Ree Harris on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Every day, a child in poverty waits for a sponsor is another day of hopelessness. There are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers pitching staff has